Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The West Fork Fire Complex. Acreage burning now in Colorado. More than 141 square miles and counting. The East Peak Fire, over 13,000 acres and counting. These are just two of the fires that are burning in my district now, and it is still early summer. Tens of thousands of acres of forests have already gone, and entire communities are being threatened. Brave men and women are working around the clock to be able to stop this devastation. They're truly incredible, and I want to thank all of them for all they are doing to be able to protect property, save lives, and to be able to contain these wildfires. Just like the wildfires that have ravaged our state over the past decade, these fires have destroyed property and are doing irreversible damage to the environment, to the fragile ecologies and watersheds on which we rely. The incident commanders in charge of the suppression efforts on the West Fork Fire, the nation's highest priority, told me this week that the behavior of the fire is unprecedented. Because of all of the beetle-killed timber, unnaturally dense forests, and dry conditions, the fire has acted in a way that defies computer models and has been incredibly devastating. The most tragic part of all of this is the occurrence of these forest fires could be reduced, if not outright prevented, with common sense, healthy forest management. With this in mind, I have put forward the following resolution, expressing the House of the Representatives that allocating the appropriate resources to wildland fire management is needed to protect the environment, the economy, the people of the United States, and for other purposes. Whereas the thoughts and prayers of the members of the House of Representatives go out to the individuals and families who have lost loved ones and their homes to wildfire, whereas the members of the House of Representatives express the utmost gratitude to wildland firefighters, first responders who bravely protect life and property, whereas nearly 10 million acres of land burned in the United States in 2012, whereas the acreage burned by wildfires has steadily increased over the past decade, whereas the most destructive fire in the history of the state of Colorado and the largest fire in the history of the state of New Mexico destroyed hundreds of homes and hundreds of thousands of acres of wildlife habitat in 2012, whereas the federal management of our forests and land management officials continue to request fewer funds to fight wildfires, whereas the funding available for wildland fire suppression in the wildland fire management account of the Forest Service was cut by $461 million from fiscal year 2011 to fiscal year 2013, whereas the wildland fire hazardous fuels reduction account of the Forest Service was cut by $22 million from fiscal year 2011 to fiscal year 2013, and the latest budget request asks for another $116 million decrease, whereas the Collaborative Forest Restoration Program, a program that benefits local economies and improves the overall health of the landscape, has taken a 20% cut in funding over the past 2 years, whereas senior Forest Service officials have described a federal land management system hamstrung by analysis of paralysis, whereas decades of federal mismanagement have increased fuel loads on federal forest land and led to increased risk of catastrophic wildfire, whereas the U.S. Forest Service has replaced responsible, environmentally sound timber thinning with allowing forests to burn through overcrowded forests, whereas the bark beetle epidemic has destroyed 40 million acres of forests in North America, and whereas academic studies indicate that the bark beetle infected trees can still be salvaged for timber to be used for mills and to contribute to small businesses and local economies, now therefore be it resolved that it is the sense of the House of Representatives that allocating appropriate resources to wildland fire management is needed to protect the environment, the economy, and the people of the United States. The bravery of the men and women who risk their lives to extinguish these conflagrations can never be questioned. A healthy forest policy must include prescribed thinning. Funding to fight and prevent wildfires is essential to public safety, environmental protection, and economic growth. People who live in or near our national forests have a right to expect the greatest possible protection for their homes and properties. The government should not continue to acquire more land when it mismanages the hundreds of millions of acres already controlled by the government are mismanaged, and the Forest Service should proactively manage federal forest lands in a manner that protects life and property, prevents catastrophic wildfire, promotes forest and watershed health, and creates jobs and economic development in the forest products industry. I invite all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join with me in standing with the people of Colorado, standing with all in the West who have been impacted by catastrophic wildfire. Join me in thanking the firefighters who are risking their lives to protect others. Join me in the action to prevent future devastation and restore our forests to health.